Hey, what's going on, guys? I've been seeing a lot of theories that that death that we all of us who know a little bit about the comics, we have a really good feeling is coming in the season 6 finale. Everything this season seems to be building up to it. And yet a lot of people say Daryl is going to get that death. And to me, I can't believe people are entertaining that for a second. Like, it just does not make sense. It would be really cool, but and that was actually who I wanted to go for a while, but I don't think it's really with the arc of the season, and also having analyzed the scene, mega spoilers here, where Negan, get out if you don't want to hear this, where Negan basically beats Glenn to death with a baseball bat in retaliation for Rick killing some of his group. It just doesn't make sense to me that Daryl's going to get it. Usually when there's a character death in the show, there's usually an arc within the episode, or for the major characters, or people that they presume are major characters, they usually get the entire season arc to build up for their deaths. This happened for Shane, this happened for Andrea, which despite some people didn't like her, she's still a major character, and she still got a full season arc before she went. This happened in season 4, although it was more of a half season with Herschel. This happened with Beth, where she got a number of episodes. And who has been, like, Glenn has been here since the beginning. He's one of the only survivors left from season 1, our original group. We have Carl, Rick, Daryl, and Glenn. And also Carol as well. So that's like 5 guys. And here's the thing. If you're going to kill off one of this core group, which I think they are, and I think it's going to be Glenn, I'm almost positive it's going to be Glenn, you would want to give them, if you're doing this thing with the arcs, you'd want to give them an entire season arc almost. Who has been a major frontrunner in the first half of the season? We have Glenn's fake-out death. They've had so many allusions to him and bats. In season 5, he almost gets hit in the head with a bat when they're lined up in Terminus. He sees a bat in season 5, episode 9, and picks it up. Then, in the last episode we just had, Not Tomorrow Yet, he sees a group of photos on the wall of bashed in brains, and, you know, people just got their heads smashed in, presumably by Negan. Obviously, he doesn't know that, but just the whole dynamic of that scene doesn't work if it's not Glenn. I get that Walking Dead will change things up and Daryl would be another big character, but that's the only thing he is. If you're just like, oh, we're just going to kill a big character because it's big. They've even said that explicitly. They don't do these deaths to shock people. It has to work for the story. Like, how are these characters going to change? Well, if Daryl dies, not a lot's going to change. Rick is still, Rick will probably be affected the most by that, but Daryl has no close ties to anyone else in the group. What have they battered home all season? That Glenn and Maggie are this really big couple. Maggie's pregnant now, and Glenn, is about to have a kid, and it works on too many levels. And you have this arc in the beginning of the season with Glenn. You have his another near death in No Way Out. So that's 2 strikes. And if they're doing the bat symbolism, the third strike, you know what that means. It just seems too appropriate to me. It's too appropriate. It's so appropriate that I would have to put the likelihood of this at massively high. From everything else I've seen on the show, I just can't see it being done any other way. That entire scene, how it's set up with everybody around, and they can mix up the characters a little bit, but you have to have Maggie there. You have to have Glenn there if he's getting it, because that's, Maggie's going to be screaming out for Rick to do something, and he really kind of has his hands tied. So there's that dynamic, and then after she gets up, if anyone else moves, cut the boy's eye out and feed it to the girl, and it's just, it just doesn't seem to work without that dynamic, because if Daryl goes, again, he doesn't really have that many ties to other members of the group. It would just, who would, obviously Rick's gonna, vouch for Daryl, and so would the rest of the group, but they don't want to get killed as well. So I don't think Daryl would kill a lot. And given everything they've done on the show, it just seems appropriate for Glenn. And on top of that, since Negan's men do this as retaliation, I was actually thinking that Negan's group was going to retaliate for Daryl killing the 6 guys at the beginning of the episode. But obviously he doesn't pick on the person who did that. but the fact that the group as a whole did it, that's why he's punishing them. And on top of that, Glenn, like what I think it's going to be now that we've seen Not Tomorrow Yet, is that the retaliation is going to be for the attack on Negan's compound, and they kill a lot more than 6 guys there. More men than Negan feels comfortable with. And on top of that, Glenn is almost bringing about his own demise. He was there killing people. So before I thought it was going to be just he would die as the last pure character on The Walking Dead, but in a sense he still kind of is, because he spared Heath from the pain of killing someone, but he still killed 2 people himself, so he's almost bringing this on himself. So it's kind of got that, another interesting dynamic to it. But just, it has to be Glenn. It has to be Glenn. I don't think it works any other way. If they do something different, I will be very, very surprised, and I'll be very interested to see how they do it. I think it'll be really cool regardless, but it just seems like it has to be Glenn. It's like the Rick scene in No Way Out with Rick, Jesse, and Carl getting his eyes shot out. It's not going to work with any other way. Those characters are all kind of core to that scene. Obviously, instead of Deanna / I believe Douglas in the comics shooting Carl in the eye, it's Ron in kind of bit of revenge. Like, that was a bit of a remix, but at the same time, it's at the core, it's the same scene. So maybe we'll see a little remix in some way, or how Negan picks or something else. Like, there's ways to remix it and still keep it the same. But of all the events in The Walking Dead, like, there's some things that are so pivotal to the show, they adapt by the book, as much as possible. And I think issue 100 is the most pivotal issue of the series. It's probably the biggest issue of the series. I think it has to be done like this, and I just don't see it happening other way, and I don't understand why people think it's going to be Daryl. The only way I think it'd be Daryl is if he wanted off the show, and I almost think they would give him a death in some other manner. So that's what I'm thinking it's going to be. I'm actually thinking there's going to be probably 2 big deaths at least coming up, because we haven't really had a member of Rick's core group other than people we've met in the last season or so, like such as Jesse. But I'm really excited for the season finale. And if I'm wrong, bring it at me, dude. I very well could be wrong, but it just seems too perfect. We had this entire season arc for Glenn. It'll be a glorious and horrifying end for him, but it's really going to propel the show forward. It's going to propel forward Maggie as a leader. It's going to propel forward Rick's hatred for Negan, and just to do whatever it can to take this guy down. And it's just because what the show's creators want to do is they want to create those interesting character dynamics. That's why I think it's got to be Glenn, and it feels like they've definitely been setting this up. And the other thing, the reason why I don't think they're faking here, people on the show who don't read the comics aren't going to know what these hints are until it actually gets here. But we who have read the comics, it wouldn't really be a surprise to us for Glenn to get it. But if you look back after the fact, you kind of see this foreshadowing, and you should have been like, aha, I should have known that. So that's what I think, guys. If I'm an idiot, if I get this wrong, that's totally cool. I just think it's got to be this way. So that's MegaMattMKV. I'm really excited for next week's episode. Over and out, guys. If you like this video, give me a subscription, please. Give me a like. That'd be really awesome. Have a good one. Peace.